Inside your own body, a battle can erupt at any moment, and it's one of the most common health conflicts on the entire planet. A silent, microscopic war fought in a place you'd probably least expect.
And this isn't just some minor skirmish. For millions of people, it's a full-scale invasion. And when you're facing it, knowing the battlefield, the enemy, and your own defensive strategy isn't just helpful. It is absolutely the key to victory.
So how does this whole thing even begin? Well, it starts quietly. An unseen invasion of bacteria moving into your personal territory.
Okay, let's just get the official definition out of the way. A urinary tract infection, or UTI, is an infection anywhere along this whole pathway. And most of the time, the culprit is bacteria, usually E. coli, that has, well, it's traveled from the digestive system to a place it really does not belong.
A clinical definition is one thing, right? But when that invasion actually begins, your body starts sounding the alarm with signals that are pretty much impossible to ignore. This is the first wave of the attack. It's that relentless, nagging feeling that you have to go to the bathroom right now. But then it's coupled with this awful, painful, burning sensation when you do. You might feel like you have to go constantly, but only a tiny bit comes out. That discomfort, that's your body's alarm system screaming that the battle has officially begun.
Now, here's where things get really interesting. See, the layout of the battlefield itself, our own anatomy, can give these invaders a major strategic advantage. And honestly, this fight isn't always fair.
The single biggest risk factor in this whole battle comes down to biological sex. Women are way, way more susceptible. And the reason is all about a few critical millimeters of anatomical design.
So take a look at the layout of the urinary system. For an infection to even start, those invading bacteria have to travel up one single path, the urethra. And the length of this path and where it's located, well, that turns out to be the single most important factor in how easily the enemy can reach its main target, your bladder.
And this table just lays it out perfectly. A woman's urethra is just significantly shorter than a man's. It gives bacteria a much quicker, easier trip to the bladder. And on top of that, its location is closer to the anus, which is the primary source of these UTI-causing bacteria. For men, that longer urethra provides a natural, extended line of defense. It's a much harder journey for the germs. And that leads to a really crucial medical point. Because the male anatomy is so naturally resistant, when a man does get a UTI, it's often a huge red flag for a bigger problem. It suggests that something else is going on, like an enlarged prostate or some kind of blockage that's messing with the body's natural defenses. So what happens if that initial invasion isn't stopped? If a bladder infection is just left untreated, the invading force doesn't just sit there, it advances. The path of escalation is clear, and it's pretty dangerous. It starts at the entry point, the urethra. The bacteria then set up camp in the bladder, causing what we call cystitis. But, and this is a big but, if it's not treated, those bacteria can continue their march right up the ureters and into the kidneys. Now we're talking about pyelonephritis, and that is a real medical emergency. So how do you know if the battle has escalated? Your body is going to send out some serious red alert signals. We're talking high fever, severe pain in your back or your side, maybe intense nausea and chills. If you feel any of this, this is no longer just a simple bladder infection. It's a huge sign the invasion has reached your kidneys, and you need to get medical help right away. For some people, the stakes are even higher. The battlefield is just more complex for pregnant individuals, for people with diabetes, and especially for seniors. And this is such a critical point that so many people miss. In older adults, a UTI might not show up with that classic burning or urgency. Instead, it can look like sudden confusion, agitation, or what seems like the sudden onset of dementia. This silent threat can be incredibly dangerous if it isn't recognized for what it actually is, a serious but very treatable infection. Okay, but this is not a one-sided fight. Now that we understand the enemy's strategy, let's talk about yours. It's time to build your counterattack arsenal, because you are absolutely not defenseless here. First things first, let's clear up a major myth. You've heard about cranberry juice, right? Well, while some studies suggest compounds in cranberries can help prevent bacteria from sticking to the bladder wall, they are not a cure. Trying to treat an active infection with cranberry juice is like trying to put out a house fire with a water pistol. It's just not going to work. The #1 go-to weapon against a bacterial UTI is antibiotics. A doctor needs to confirm the infection and prescribe the right kind for the specific invader. And here is the most important part. I cannot stress this enough. You must take the entire course. Even if you feel a million times better after a day or two, the bacteria are still there. Stopping early is exactly how we create those antibiotic-resistant superbugs. So while the antibiotics are doing all the heavy lifting, you can send in some reinforcements. Hydration is absolutely key. Drinking lots of water helps physically flush the bacteria out of your system. Simple pain relievers can help you manage the discomfort, and a heating pad can provide some really nice soothing relief. You know, the best counterattack is a defense that's so strong the invasion never even begins. So let's talk about building your fortress against future UTIs.
This is your daily defensive routine. Staying hydrated keeps the whole system flushed out. Not holding it in prevents bacteria from having time to multiply. Wiping from front to back sounds simple, but it's a super powerful way to keep bacteria from getting near the urethra. And of course, managing any underlying health conditions like diabetes is another critical part of a strong defense.
All right, let's address a very, very common trigger. Sexual activity can unfortunately introduce bacteria into the urethra, which is why having a specific post-sex defense strategy is just so important, especially for women. This is a simple but incredibly effective game plan. Urinating right after sex acts like a natural flushing mechanism for the urethra, washing out any bacteria that might have been introduced. You combine that with some gentle washing and just staying well hydrated in general, and you can dramatically reduce your risk.
So, ultimately, this is the takeaway. A urinary tract infection is a battle, for sure, but it is one you are fully equipped to win. By understanding your own anatomy, recognizing the symptoms early, and using these proven strategies for treatment and prevention, you are in command. You have the intelligence. Now, go build your fortress.